How do you have the willpower to stay disciplined with your constant traveling?
I love that question, and it's fascinating to use the word willpower because a lot of my clients actually also use the word willpower. And when I'm kind of asking them, like, why are you stuck and what do you think you need to do to fix it? A lot of people will say, oh, well, I just need to try harder. And I remember in my own life when I used to tell myself to just try harder at something, it would work for a few days, maybe a week, maybe 2 weeks if I was lucky. And then eventually something would come up that would knock me off track. And then I'd be like, oh, everything's lost, right? And what I had to do was shift my thinking into more of how do I look at the system overall, right? Because we all have a finite amount of willpower.
Yeah.
If you put a cookie jar in front of me, I can say no a few times, but if I walk by that cookie jar for the 10th time that week, I might have a cookie.
It's like it's like saying I'm gonna quit cigarette while carrying a cigarette the whole time.
Exactly. It's like, so if I can engineer my environment and then think about the systems in my life to already make the decisions for me, I'm going to be a lot more likely to be successful. So let's take that now in terms of traveling. Let's say I know which airports I'm going to fly in and out of, right? And I know that that airport has a McDonald's that I typically like to go to if it's a late night and I've had a long day and I see the Golden Arches right as I get off the plane. I'm walking out of the gate. It's like, if I know that's already there, what process do I need to put in place so that I don't do that behavior? Right? Is there another thing right next to it? Is there a Qdoba where I could just get like a bowl of chicken and rice and salad instead, right? Or maybe there aren't any of those options. So what can I eat on the plane? Do I need to eat a protein bar and drink a protein shake on the plane? So when I get off, I'm not even hungry and I walk right by the McDonald's, right? I wanna work with my biology rather than against it. And I think that, I was guilty of this too, but I think too many travelers just think I'm just doomed to fail, right? And they're just like, well, I'm just going to keep saying no to the McDonald's every time I walk by it. It's like, well, what if I just did something else and had a different system so that I didn't even need to have that internal dialogue with myself?
Get around the problem.
Exactly.
Right. So sometimes I'll go to a hotel and their gym is like terrible. And sometimes they don't even exist. So how is that possible? Someone who's traveling in a hotel like that can stay in shape.
So essentially, like when your hotel gym's a closet or it is just garbage or doesn't even exist, I would just give up completely. No, I'm just kidding. I think in those situations, there's a couple different things you can do, and it depends on really how much time and flexibility you have. So if I have transportation and I'm in a relatively densely populated area, I would just go to a gym. The odds of one being 5 minutes away from me is pretty high if I'm in a busy city. So I would just literally Google what are the nearest gyms to me, pick one, and then go. Now, if I'm I don't have transportation, I'm in a rural area, or I'm pressed for time, then I'm going to go for just a quick body weight workout in my room. Now, the reason I want to still stay consistent, even when the conditions aren't optimal, is because what I'm actually doing is I'm building an identity. I'm building the identity of somebody who prioritizes their health and who is consistent over the long run. Right. So yes, the situation isn't perfect. I'm not going to maximize muscle growth by doing a quick body weight workout, but something is always better than nothing. And then the last thing I'll say on this is that ideally in the future, I'm actually looking at the hotels and finding ones that have good gyms or are close to a good gym so that I can just make my life easier overall.
How would someone hit their protein goal while eating out all the time?
That's a good question. And it's something that I struggled with because there have been periods in my life where I was eating out every single day of the week. And that is challenging to navigate. And I think what has been really helpful for me is having like a meal cheat sheet. And what I mean by that is, let's take all like the top fast food restaurants, right? For example, if I know I'm in and out of a lot of airports, I want to have a game plan for all the top fast food restaurants. My personal favorites are Chick-fil-A and Chipotle because those are the easiest to get really macro-friendly, high-protein meals from. So I usually try to find one of those two. But if not, I'll kind of go down the list. Panda Express actually also has some really good ones, believe it or not. Their grilled teriyaki chicken, not to be slept on.
Grilled teriyaki chicken.
Yeah, it's really good. And so anyways, I want to have quick options like that. And then when I'm going out to restaurants, I also want to have a clear game plan on exactly how I'm going to order. And so what I'm looking for again is I want a high protein lean meat and then maybe some veggies and then a fun side, right? There's no, I don't believe in just completely cutting things out. So maybe I get like a lean cut of steak and some veggies, but then I'll throw in some mashed potatoes because I can afford it, right? And so when you learn to eat in that balanced way, it becomes sustainable, it becomes fun, but you're also staying consistent over the long term.
Right. Well, how long would it actually take to see results with your approach?
5 years. No, I'm just kidding.
No way.
I'm just kidding. So the way I like to break this down, and really this is with a fitness journey in general, is in week 1 is where you'll start to feel better. Like physically you will feel better if you are consistently working out and eating a little bit better than you were before. That makes sense, right? In month 1 is where you're going to start to see some physical changes in the sense that you're like, oh, there's like a little bit of muscle there that I didn't realize was there. Like, oh, like the fat over my stomach is not sticking out as much, right? It's very small changes that only you will notice, right? By month 3 is where those physical changes start to become quite apparent. And what's really important throughout a fitness journey, if you're considering starting one, is making sure to take progress photos at the beginning and throughout. Because what'll happen is as you go through time, your brain will say, you didn't really change. Like, this is hard. Let's just not do it. So you need evidence to prove to your brain that it actually is working. And so then in, month 3, you're like, oh, this is boring. I'm tired. I don't want to go to the gym. Look at your progress photos from day 1. And when you look at those, you'll be like, oh, shoot.
Undeniable motivation.
Okay, this is working. I need to keep doing it, right? And usually around month 3 is the pivotal point because that's where a lot of people give up, right? Because that's where it becomes monotonous. It gets hard. This is where you're truly building consistency, right? Month 6 is where the fun begins because this is where other people start to compliment you. Right. So 6 months in, typically for most of my clients, they're now down 20, 30, 40, 50 pounds, right? Depending on how big of a weight loss journey they had. And so now they see friends that they haven't seen in 6 months and their friends are like, what the heck are you doing? Are you on Ozempic? Like, what are you doing? Right. And like 6 months in is the fun part because now you've hit your stride. You know what you're doing. You've developed the identity. Like now things are feeling good. A year in is where you actually get an improved life expectancy. They've done research on this. 1 year of consistent strength training and a diet that's higher in protein will literally add years to your life.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Amazing. Zach, honestly, one of my favorite food is ice cream.
Okay.
Can I still eat ice cream while I lose weight?
That's a great question. You actually can. In fact, one of my clients, his name's Josh. I'll put his transformation up on the screen. He lost 40 pounds while eating ice cream every single night.
Every night?
I know. And I know that sounds crazy, but let me explain how he did it. So first of all, just to clarify, he was not eating full cream Haagen-Dazs. Like he shifted his ice cream preferences to be like Yasso bars and different ice creams that were a little bit better in macros, still just to be clear, but still ice cream. But even if you did want to eat like full cream Haagen-Dazs or whatever it is, Ben and Jerry's, right? I love their cookie dough flavor. But like if I wanted to incorporate those things in a nutrition plan and still have somebody lose weight, it's definitely possible because what we need to look at is macronutrients, which is proteins, fats, and carbs. And a lot of the traditional like fad diets, right? Think like keto, Whole30, intermittent fasting, where they go wrong is they just demonize something, right? So keto, for example, you cannot touch a single carb, right?
Carb is evil.
Oh, guess what? Ice cream has carbs, so I can't touch ice cream. Potatoes have carbs, so I can't touch potatoes, right? And so when we label those things as bad in our minds as humans, we naturally want what we can't have. So if we keep telling ourselves, I can't have this, I can't have this, I can't have this. Yeah, over time, it's like, well, I think I'm going to have ice cream tonight. And then you have it once, and you're like, screw it, I messed up my entire thing. I'm going to give up, right? So anyways, side tangent. That was just, I get passionate about this because I remember how hard it was for me when I was on a restrictive diet and how I will never live my life like that again. So anyways, what we do with our clients is we plan around their favorite foods. And so we're literally thinking like, okay, if you love ice cream, how do we fit that in regularly so that you can be enjoying yourself and not feel like you're on a diet, right? Because if you feel like you're on a diet, inherently your brain thinks this is going to end soon. And if we always think like that, but we're trying to build lifelong, sustainable, healthy habits, not going to work very well in the long run. Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Right. Makes sense. Yeah. How bad was your worst travel week, and did you stay on track there?
Oh my gosh. I remember this travel. So I was in Thailand and I was coming back to the US. And if anyone watching this, or Steve, I don't know, have you been to Thailand?
Yes.
Okay. Have you traveled from Thailand to the US?
I flew from, I have.
Okay. It's brutal. Like going from Thailand, I mean, first of all, there's no direct flights, right? So I think I had 2 layovers, not to mention a 15-hour time change, right? Yeah. And this all happened within a period of like 30 something hours. And then once I landed, I then went on another small trip for 3 days and then finally came home. And so there was just so many factors, right, that are naturally stacked against me in that situation. What I did to work through it was a couple things. So one is because of the drastic time zone change, I started thinking on the new time zone. So I live in San Diego. So I was thinking Pacific time when I was already in Thailand. I was like, okay, this is 15 hours behind where I currently am. And so I first needed to adjust my internal clock. And the fastest way to adjust your internal clock is to eat on the time zone you are going to. Because if you have your meal times on the time zone you're about to enter, your body clock starts to shift faster. Right. So I started to do that. I literally changed all my clocks on my phone, my watch, everything to Pacific time. How many
days in advance?
Just day of, like the day of the travel, which granted was a 30-hour day. Right? So I shifted to that time zone. I'm like, okay, I'm just going to pretend I'm on this time zone, right? The second piece was what's the actual food that I'm eating, right? So in Thailand specifically, they have Subway, thank God. And so I was able to get Subway at the airport and have something that, and then I always do double chicken. So I'd have double chicken on my Subway sandwich, get double the protein, eat it on the time zones of San Diego. And so I slowly started shifting my body clock. The second thing that I did was right when I left, before I checked out of my hotel that morning for my flight, I hit a quick workout because I knew I was about to have a 30-hour day, not going to be able to work out. And I also wanted to tire my body out so that I could sleep on the plane. Wow. So these are things, again, you got to plan ahead or you plan to fail, right? And so with travel, it becomes so imperative to actually plan ahead for these things. So anyways, I got the workout in, got my high protein meal, slept on the plane on my new time zone that I'm going to. I'm already setting myself up for success, right? So then I land and go on my next trip for 3 days, which thankfully was in the US, but still my body is totally out of whack. I'm trying to adjust to the time zone. And so every morning when I'm waking up, I'm immediately going into sunlight. What I'm doing there is I'm getting my circadian rhythm in track and basically telling my body it's daytime, wake up, right? Because it thinks that it's like, I don't know, 11 p.m. in Thailand, right? When it's actually 8 a.m. my time. And so I keep getting myself to do that every single morning. It was not fun. I did use caffeine strategically as well, early in the morning only. I didn't have any caffeine in the afternoon or the night, which typically is really hard because that's when my body was really fatigued and I would want it. But I was like, nope, I'm having it early in the morning and then I'm not having any caffeine later in the day, which again was allowing my body to get on the right circadian rhythm. So within, I would say like 2 to 3 days, it was pretty brutal jet lag, especially while I was on that second trip. But eventually I got back onto the time zone and then I was able to get home and just kind of like chill.
Wow, that is so smart. You know, use every single element to help you.
Exactly.
Work out, the diet, everything.
Exactly. It's just all about planning and just thinking ahead. Yeah.
Is there a single habit that differentiates clients who succeed and clients who don't?
Ooh, I like that a lot. I think there's one single thing that really defines it, and it's more so actually a mindset than a habit. Because the habits are all the tactics, but without the right mindset, I mean, I can give you the perfect tactics, but if your mind isn't in the right place to actually execute on them, it's not even going to matter. And that mindset that's pivotal to success is thinking in an 80-20. So what I mean by that is a lot of people come to me having struggled with perfectionism. And perfectionism is probably what led to them being very successful in their careers, which is they're like, everything has to be perfect. Everything needs to be dialed in, right? If I'm not going to give it 100%, then why should I even bother, right? I remember my dad growing up, he was an immigrant to the US and he's worked his ass off to give me and my siblings the life that we have. And growing up, he would always tell me, he's like, Zach, anything that you do in your life, either give it 100%, give it your all, or don't even bother. In my career, phenomenal advice.
Yeah.
It led to me getting promoted at 24, 25, and 26 years old. It led to me having a lot of great professional success. It led to me building a company that's quite successful.
Yeah.
But in fitness, it was not the best advice, because what ended up happening was I always thought I either need to be perfect or I shouldn't even bother. And with fitness, I wasn't able to be perfect all the time because there were things that would come up in my life that were out of my control.
Okay.
So once I started shifting my thinking in terms of fitness in more 80-20, 80% of the time I'm locked in, things are great, I'm dialed. 20% of the time is room for error, things that I can't control.
Right.
I was able to see a lot more success because I was consistent over the long term.
Right. That makes sense.
Yeah.
80% on a test score.
Terrible.
Asian
Yeah. Oh,
dude,
my dad would kill me.
Yep. But 80% compliance in fitness. Fantastic.
Great. Yeah. Amazing. Yeah.
Makes sense. What do your most successful clients do that no one else really is talking about?
I love that question. And it comes down to one thing, which is planning. Now, when I say the word plan, I don't mean just a generic plan of like, I'm going to work out this many times and eat, this ratio of macros. I mean like a really detailed, specific plan for every scenario that comes up. So as the saying goes, plan ahead or plan to fail. And this is especially true with travel because there are a lot of uncontrolled variables. And so what my most successful clients do is they have a clear plan in place for exactly what they're going to do, when they're going to work out, how long, what they're doing in the gym, what they're going to eat for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And they have their contingency plans. What am I going to do if this flight gets delayed?
Right.
How am I going to get my steps in on this crazy travel day? How am I going to work out on this insane week where I have 3 back-to-back flights and I'm not sure if I'm going to even be able to step foot in a gym this week, right? They plan for every single week. And what we do in our program actually is every single Sunday, we create a game plan for the following week.
Right.
And so the idea is essentially that every single week is mapped out and we know exactly where we're going to fit the workouts in. And with the people that we work with, I mean, and this is the life I used to live, one week would look very different from the next, would look very different from the next. So it's not as easy as like, a lot of the fitness gurus out there are like, just build a routine and like, just, do the same thing every day, right? They say eat the same things every day, right? Go to the same gym every day. That's not feasible if you're traveling all the time.
Right.
And so we need to have these multiple different plans. And the people that are seeing extreme success in our program that you guys, you see the transformations that I've been posting, those people are the ones who take radical responsibility and are planning out every single week.
Makes sense. How would you respond to someone who says, I'll start when my travel slows down?
Well, I'll first of all ask you, like, when will it slow down and how long will it be slow for and when will it speed back up? Because chances are it's going to speed back up. And so if we keep waiting for like the chill period, like, okay, we can build a plan and build a system for when things are calm, but things will naturally ramp up again. And so if we're not prepared for when it gets crazy, we're just going to lose it all again, right? So I actually think that the busiest seasons are the best times to start a fitness journey, because if you can figure out how to make it work during the busy seasons, when you're in the slow seasons, it's so easy to maintain that. And then the next busy season comes and you're already ready to go. So that's one of the big things I say. And then the second is, I'm just going to cut that out. I want to share a quick story about this too. So I talked to this one guy. I won't share his name, but he did end up becoming a client of ours. And I talked to him, and he was like, "Yeah, things are just too insane right now. I just I don't think I can join. Okay. Right? I just have too much on my plate, too much going on, right? And which, by the way, if you do end up joining our program, our goal is to remove things from your plate and think about them for you, so you don't have to. But anyways, and I went back and forth with him. I shared with him exactly what I just said, and he was like, "Yeah, I get it. I just feel too overwhelmed." And so I was like, okay, well, when do things calm down? He's like, in a few months, I'll reach back out to you, right? So month passes, 2 months pass, 3 months pass. And I reach out to him. I'm like, where are you at? He's like, yeah, whatever. I'll get back to you later. Ignores me, right? 8 months later, he comes back to me 20 pounds heavier than before. And he was already overweight when I first talked to him. He comes back 20 pounds more overweight. And he's like, dude, I'm like, what? He's like, I need to do this now. Things are even crazier now, 8 months later than they were back then, but I need to do this. Right. And I was like, all right, let's start. And so he started then because he had made up his mind. I can no longer wait for the perfect moment because there isn't one.
Yeah.
There's never a perfect moment, right? I mean, this guy has 3 kids, right? And he's working, he's in sales. He travels like literally sometimes 2, 3, 4 flights per week.
Okay.
Like insane, right? And granted, like I want to be clear with this story, like his life was insane, right? It is insane. But he was able to drop 25 pounds in the next 4 months because he actually implemented the changes that we told him to. Okay. And I think that story is just a great reminder for me whenever I'm talking to somebody who's like, maybe I'll do it now. Maybe I'll wait till it's more calm. I literally tell them that story. And I'm like, I mean, you can come back to me in 8 months, 25 pounds heavier, or you can start to make changes today.
Right. Oh, yeah. The decision is more powerful than, you know, any of the elements, any of the struggles in your life.
100%.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like the saying goes, like the best day to start the best day to plant a tree was 20 years ago, but the second best day is today.
Yeah.
So why wait?
Is it still possible to lose like 30 pounds if someone's traveling internationally every week?
Yep. 100%. And I want to share 2 client examples to show that this is possible. So on the screen, I'll put up Jude's transformation and then David's transformation. Both of these individuals are traveling internationally multiple times a month. Jude is the head of go-to-market strategy for a SaaS organization. He runs teams across 5 continents. So he's traveling to all of the teams in the 5 continents. David works in crypto as a marketer. And so he travels on a crypto conference circuit, which goes throughout Europe, Dubai, Thailand, Japan, you name it. Like there's all the major city centers in the world. This conference circuit goes through. And so he has been, traveling throughout the world for the past 4 years. Now, both of these individuals were able to lose a substantial amount of weight in a relatively short period of time. Both of these transformations are 6-month transformations, by the way. And the biggest thing that we had to focus on with the international travel is actually figuring out the types of food with what's available, right? Most of these places have access to gyms. Most of these places, I mean, the time zone changes suck for like the first day or 2, but whatever. You can work through that, right? At least both of them were like, that's not a big deal for me. I'm used to it, right? The biggest problem was the food. And so what we had to actually do was look at every single country they were going to and then build a customized meal plan for each of those countries.
Wow, you do that.
Yeah, we did that. And because, we'll do what it takes, right, to get the results that we want. And so once we had those clear meal plans, and again, it comes down to like figuring out like, okay, what brands are there, right? What can we order out at the restaurants? What types of restaurants are there? What food is being served, right? We have to figure out those things. But really, once you figure out those things, it becomes a lot more manageable. Now, I will say this, if you're going to a less developed country, with not a lot of infrastructure and you're not in one of the major cities, it's going to be a lot harder to find that. But if you're going to major city centers, right, then the odds of you being able to find foods that are higher in protein, lower in fats, lower in carbs, that you can get like quick snacks on hand, that you can, eat out at different restaurants and be able to hit the macros you need is very doable. In fact, it's actually quite easy.
Okay, I see. Yeah. That's interesting. How do your clients even get the time for fitness with their 60-hour plus work weeks?
Yeah, that's a good question. And being somebody who's worked 60 plus hours a week, I know that it is not easy because a 60-hour week means literally 5 12-hour days, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes more depending on project deadlines. And I have clients that have worked weekends. I used to work weekends at one point. So I know what it feels like to be in that position where it just feels like you're just like grasping at air, trying to find some time to do anything, right? And one thing that I realized that was really helpful for me was that I needed a plan, because if I wasn't planning ahead, then I was planning to fail. And so I needed to get clear on exactly when I could squeeze certain things in, right? So for example, one of my days might be a 12-hour day. The next day might be a 10-hour day. So which day should I go to the gym? the 10-hour day, right? And granted, it's still brutal. It's still hard to get myself into the gym, but it's a lot better having 2 more hours in my day, because then I can get to the gym. I can still come home. I can eat a nice meal, and then I can go to bed on time. Right. So we want to be strategic with those things. In fact, I actually have a lot of clients when they're first starting ask me like, Zach, do I have to work out on my travel days? Like, I don't know if I can do that. And I'm like, no, your travel days are the last day we want you to work out, because there's so much that's out of your control on that day. Right. What if your flight gets delayed and now you're later than you thought to check into your hotel, and then you have to get up at 6 a.m. and no, now I can't go to the gym. It's like, let's just not set you up for failure there, and let's put the workout on the next day. Like, that's really all it comes down to, is let's just shift things around so that we can be fluid. And I think a mistake a lot of people make is having this, like, I need to be stringent with myself. I need to be very strict and regimented and routine. It's like, if you travel a lot, that's just not going to happen, right? And so what we really want is to build a semblance of routine in the chaos, right? It doesn't need to be exactly the same every single day, or every single week, but it can be, similar week to week.
Yeah, just make sure that the structure is there, a rough structure.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
How do you feel when someone tells you they're too busy for health and fitness? Yeah.
I have a rule for myself now where I don't allow myself to use the words, I am too busy. I have to change it to, this is not a priority right now. And so when I changed that language for myself, it became really powerful. And granted, sometimes it might be a little bit hard to say, especially if someone's like, hey, can you do this thing, right? Or, hey, maybe you should do this. Or as a business owner, I get thrown hundreds of ideas of things I could do or work on in a given day. And I literally have to tell myself, not I'm too busy to work on this. It's actually working on this right here is not a priority for me right now. And the more I've been able to be honest with myself, the more I've been able to make better decisions. And so when somebody tells me, hey, I'm too busy to focus on my health, what they're really telling me is this is not a priority to me. And first off, I want to help that person see clearly that that's actually what they're saying, right? Once they understand that my health is actually not a priority to me right now, then I want to challenge them on that, because we can have 100 different problems that we're working on until we have a health problem. And when we have a health problem, we only have one problem, right? I remember 2 years ago, my dad had a heart attack. And before that, I mean, he was running around doing a million different things. When that happened, he only had one thing he was concerned about. That was the only thing he cared about, right? And same for me. I had 100 different problems. I was working like a mad dog, and actually hadn't even seen my dad in a couple months. And as soon as that happened, I dropped everything, took a week off work, and went to the hospital. Because that's the only thing that mattered. And so in those moments, I'm reminded that, like, when we have a health problem, that is our only problem. And when we don't take care of our health throughout our lives, especially in our younger years, those things come back to bite us later on. So I would really ask that person, like, if they're saying, hey, I'm too busy, I get the feeling of feeling too busy, right? Because I've felt that way too. And it's not a fun feeling to feel like I just never have enough time for anything, right? But I have to reframe it in my mind to, I am not making this a priority. And then I have to ask myself, do I want to not make it a priority, or do I actually need to make it a priority? And if it's your health, I mean, I would argue, I think everyone needs to make it a priority.
Right. I think that is such a powerful thought, because at the end of the day, everybody has 24 hours a day. And when you say you're busy, you're pretending that somehow you have less hours per day? It's just that you are spending, the matter is where you're spending that time.
100%.
Right? If something is a priority, then okay, it is just going to, you're just going to do it and push some other things aside.
100%.
But the time is absolutely there.
Yeah, 100%. In fact, I even remember one of my clients, he told me when he signed up, he was like, I work 16-hour days. And I was like, what the hell are you doing for 16 hours? Like, there's no way you can even be fully productive and functional for 16 hours in a row of work.
Right. Not for the whole time.
Exactly. So I literally, I went through his workday with him. I know I'm a fitness coach, but I'm like, I mean, your life has to be in alignment for it to actually work, right? So I actually went through his day with him line by line. And I was like, dude, cut this out. Like, don't do this. Stop doing this. And then we also found that there were periods of time where there'd be a block of time where he's like scrolling his phone or like, you know, chatting with his coworker for 45 minutes and like doing all this other stuff that's feels like it's 16 hours, but he's not actually doing that much. Right. It's not a knock on him. He's an extremely hardworking, very successful person. But it's just like,
I get that when you're living that life, you don't see it from the outside. You're like,
exactly.
Right.
And guess what happened once we made those changes? He actually started working less hours.
He's probably going to be able to complete the same amount of work.
He got more productive. He got promoted, and he dropped 38 pounds.
Right.
In 5 months. Like, that's the power of making these changes.
Right. Yeah. Wow, that is so powerful.
Yeah. Literally, true story, bro. It's crazy.
Yeah. What is usually the first challenge that people encounter when they're in your program?
So there's actually a really big thing here, and it's really the feeling of overwhelm. Because one thing with health and fitness is, and I mean, I'm sure like if you've been watching content of health and fitness creators, right? There's like 1,000,001 things that you could do to better your health. Like, oh, get outside for sunlight, drink this much water, take this supplement, like eat this for breakfast.
A lot of conflicting information.
Yeah, and then everything goes against each other. And it's like, there's so many things you could do at any given moment.
Yeah.
And so a lot of our clients at the beginning, they come to us feeling overwhelmed. Like there's just so much information out there, right? And what I always tell them is when you're climbing a mountain, do you just stare at the summit the entire time you're climbing it? Or do you look at one foot in front of the next? It's like, obviously you can't see the top of the mountain because it's actually covered in clouds and it's thousands of feet in elevation. You literally can't even see
it's dangerous
the
if
top.
You're always looking up.
Yeah, exactly. You wouldn't even see where you're going, right? So you have to focus on one step in front of the next, right?
Yeah.
What's the first step I can take? And then once you take that first step, what's the second one I can take? And fitness needs to be approached in the same way. It can be overwhelming. It can feel overwhelming to be like, I could do all of these different things. And especially you see these like jacked, shredded, people out there, all these fitness people that are like, this is my daily routine. And they show you like a 4-hour morning routine where they go in the sauna and the cold plunge and this and that. And like the other thing, it's like, how do I do all that? Where do I even start?
That's not even the top of the mountain. It's like marketing stunts a lot of the
time. Exactly. So we always tell people focus on one thing first and focus on the highest leverage thing, which in most people's cases, they're nutrition. So get your nutrition down. We always say step one is increase your protein intake, because if you naturally do that, you're naturally going to start eating less carbs and fats. You're going to eat slightly less calories while eating more food. And you're going to build and retain more muscle, which is going to increase your metabolism. So I'm like, if you do that one thing in your first 2 weeks in the program, you're already going to see changes, right? And then once they master that skill, then we go on to the next skill.
Yeah.
And then we go into the next one. And I view every single part of a fitness transformation as skill building, because that's really what we're doing.
Right.
Once you master each skill set, then you can add on another skill set. It's kind of like leveling up your character in a video game, right? You gain a certain amount of XP, and then you level up and you have a new skill and a new power, right? Then you gain more XP, you get a new power. You just keep like stacking like that until you look back and you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I came this far this fast.
Right. One thing at a time.
Yeah. Exactly.
That's probably gonna be fine, because like last time it was like, it wasn't bad at all. I mean, these mics are pretty great. Okay, maybe not that one. Okay, what's the mental roller coaster that your clients go through from the beginning to the end of your program?
Ooh, mental roller coaster. It's fascinating because I remember myself being on a mental roller coaster and actually a physical roller coaster of gaining weight, losing weight, gaining weight, losing weight. And every time I drink this, I have to burp.
What?
I think I drink some air along with the water.
Okay.
Anyways, that'll be a blooper. But anyway, so I was always on this roller coaster, and I've seen a lot of my clients be on it as well. And a lot of the physical roller coaster comes from the mental roller coaster of being like, I'm locked in, now I suck. Now I'm locked in, now I suck, and I failed, right? And that mental roller coaster comes from trying these highly restrictive diets where you need to be perfect 100% of the time, right? Think like Whole30, keto as examples, right?
Yeah.
And what I've noticed for myself, what got me off of that roller coaster and what gets a lot of my clients off of it is if we can shift to a more balanced, holistic approach with our nutrition. Once we can get to that balanced approach where we're still eating foods we enjoy, but we're eating the right ratio of macronutrients, proteins, fats, and carbs, now there's actually some element of sustainability there, right? I always tell my clients, I'm like, we're not doing this for like just a few months. I want you to think of your fitness journey in terms of decades, not years, not months, not days, decades, right? And when you think about it from that lens, you start to focus much more on how can I actually enjoy this process?
Yeah.
How can I make it sustainable to the point where I actually love what I'm eating every day? And when you get to that place where you're loving what you're eating and what you're eating is also nourishing your body, to me, that's the key. That's where you unlock limitless consistency.
Wow. Okay. So where does the name Gladiator Strength came from?
That's a great question. So have you ever seen the content that's like, how often do you think about the Roman Empire?
Yeah. All the
For
time.
me, it's every day. It's literally the name of my company. But I'll explain why this means so much to me and why I named our company Gladiator Strength. In ancient Rome, gladiators were, we think of them as like, oh, big, powerful, strong
Stoic
warriors,
figures.
right? But what they actually were was slaves who were forced to fight to the death. And so it's actually a very gory, brutal, harsh reality, right? And the thing with gladiators is they couldn't control what they were going to fight in the ring the next day, right? They didn't know if they were going to go up against a lion or a tiger or an elephant even, right?
Yeah.
But they did control how they prepared and how they actually showed up, right? And so I think about the analogy of like when a gladiator is entering into the arena, it's the same with us when we are in the arena of life, right? Because life will throw us challenges where we don't know what the next challenge is that we're going to get thrown, right? But what we do have control over is how we prepare, right? And how we respond in the moment. And so ultimately, my goal with our program is that we build bulletproof systems in each person that we work with so that everything that they're thrown, every challenge that they receive in their life, they have the systems in place where they've done the preparation and they can actually execute in the moment.
Wow, I see. Wow, okay. That's actually, I never thought of it that way, but it's literally the same, like life is just a monster that we have to fight, and we can't always be fully, planned out, and we can't know what's going to happen the next day.
Exactly. The only guarantee is that there will be challenges.
Yeah.
We just don't know what they are and when they're going to happen.
Do certain things within your part to make sure that you're best prepared for it.
Yeah,
that's beautiful.
Exactly. I also really love stoicism and like that Greek philosophy and that mentality of like focus on what you can control. To solve outward problems, look inward, right? Like build that inner citadel of like just calm and peace and serenity. And when you can build that internally, it reflects externally into the world too.
Yeah.
Right. So that's really the biggest goal and the name behind the program.
Zach, I keep seeing ads for these New Year deals on, workout classes and things like that. Should I sign up for those things?
Well, it depends. Do you want your money to go to good use or do you want to just throw it down the drain?
Hard choice, but I would like to put it to good use, I guess.
So I think ultimately it depends on what people's goals are, right? If your goal is just to show up to a class, sweat it out, and then move on with your life, great, go for it. But if your goal is to purposely, strategically lose body fat and build a metabolic engine so that you can eat more food over the long run, don't waste your time on that, right? Especially in the new year, there's so much marketing for F45, Orange Theory, like all these group classes that are like, get lean and toned. And then they have the instructor on the front cover who's like just shredded, like, right? Like I see like the women with six packs, right? On the cover of like F45. And if you've ever been to an F45 class, I have never seen someone that looks like that who's taking the class. Like, let's just be real, right? And so there's a reason for that because F45 is just one minor piece of the puzzle, right? Because sure, getting cardio, great for your heart. It's good for you. You feel good. You sweat it out, whatever. If you love that, not trying to that itself, right? Yeah. But the big problem with it is that it's not actually building up lasting change over time, right? You can go do cardio for 30 minutes. You'll burn, 300-400 calories, depending on how hard you go, but you can eat that back in 30 seconds, right? You eat 4 Snickers bars and it's gone, right? if Snickers are your thing, right? But I lost my train of thought.
Snicker bars are great.
Yeah. Yeah, I love Snickers. Anyways, if you want to build lasting change, then you need to actually focus on building muscle mass, because the more muscle you have on your body, the more calories your body burns, right? As an example, 1 pound of muscle burns 4 times the amount of calories that a pound of fat does. And so if you can stack on more pounds of muscle onto your body, you're naturally going to start burning more calories. When you start burning more calories, you're now going to burn away the remaining fat, and you're going to be able to eat more food because your metabolic engine is grown. So what I always recommend with my clients is, if you want to optimize for fat loss, you need to focus more on strength training and your nutrition of having a higher protein diet. When you couple those two things together, that's where you get the body of the man or woman on the cover of F45. I guarantee you they are not just doing F45 classes. Their nutrition is dialed in. They're definitely strength training. Like, you don't build that level of muscle mass without strength training. Right. So they're doing those things, and then they're advertising it as like, do our class and that is what's going to save you. It's like, no, that's a very overly simplified approach. And the reality is you can't out-train a bad diet. So nutrition really actually drives 80% plus of your results.
Wow. Okay. I mean, why would I go to an online coach? Couldn't I just find a personal trainer in my local 24-hour fitness?
Yeah, 100%. You could. And I mean, in the new year is probably a great time to do that. They're running a lot of specials. The only problem is, if you travel a lot, how are you going to be consistent with the workouts? I have a lot of clients who have tried in-person personal trainers, and don't get me wrong, it's great, like getting the live forum feedback, having somebody that you need to show up with in person every week. That's great, right? The problem, though, lies in when the travel comes up and really just not being able to see sustainable results over the long term, right? Just going in and doing one workout once a week with somebody is not what's going to drastically change your body. What really is going to change your body is your habits and your nutrition. Yeah. Nutrition actually drives 80% of your progress. And so if you're not dialing in your nutrition on the road, you're never going to see any results from that one workout a week anyways. Right. So don't waste your time and money going to a personal trainer when you're just going to be out on the road all the time. Right. And really this actually, like, I get fired up about this because this is why I created the program that we have, is because I've tried the in-person stuff. I've tried in-person coaches, and yes, they are great for teaching you how to lift and have good form, but they're not great at helping you with your nutrition. I got a nutrition plan from one of these coaches. Do you know what they gave me?
What is it?
Literally, they just gave me a day, and they're like, eat this many grams of oatmeal, put this much peanut butter on it, this much honey, eat this much grilled chicken for lunch, eat this much like salmon for dinner, and cook all of it, right? And it's super bland, boring, basic meals. And they're like, just eat that every day. And I'm like, no.
Somebody's going to do it.
I can't. Like, literally, I can't. Like, it's not that I don't want it bad enough. It's that I physically can't do that with the life I'm living. Right. This isn't taking into account all the time that I spend at airports, right? How am I supposed to get my grilled chicken, like 60, whatever it was, 80 grams of grilled chicken and, 75 grams of rice? How am I even going to do that?
Do you even like rice?
No, I don't even like rice. I actually prefer bread and potatoes, right? So it's like, overall, I think all of those things just added up to where I was like, I need to do something about this because none of the solutions out there work for people like me. And what we focus on instead in our program is like, okay, how do we actually eat out and make the food that we're eating out fit into our macronutrient targets, right? How can I get my workouts in quick 30 to 45 minute bursts 3 times a week, which is way more doable than spending hours at, a gym or going and meeting up with my personal trainer for an hour once a week, right? So when we can build out all of those different systems and have the behavior change that leads to lasting change, that's, I think, where true results come from.
I mean, I think in-person trainers are actually great at teaching form and giving you live feedback. But the thing is, the form is only such a small part of the entire scope of fitness. So just by focusing this one part excessively wouldn't really help.